So, ladies, I did my research and I found the right new hairdresser for me because I came down to Florida. You have to find everything new. And I went online and I thought I knew what her prices were. I check everything out to make sure it's what I want in my budget. Not trying to skimp, but well, I get there and the price wasn't exactly. And ended up, I was looking at an old website. That's another story. But so she gave me my price, and I was like, huh. Like I was trying not to make a change in my face. Really not. But it must have been the delay of me reaching for my wallet. Like, because I had sticker shock that she's like, well, this was your first visit, and it was also a consultation. And, I'm not trying to boast because we all have our own problems with our hair, but my hair is very, very thick. So I can't just go to anybody to get cut. So I have to find a curl specialist. It's a cross I bear. I'm sorry. I have to do that. I have not
You
before,
feel the
and
sympathy coming from Tracy and myself, right?
I have not done that, and does not bode well. But it took me a minute, so it probably was a 30-second delay in getting my wallet. But do you like when the prices aren't what you expect them? Do you how do you react to it? Is it very visible on your face? Do you squash it down? Do you show excitement, disappointment? By the way, I did pay it. It wasn't much more than what I expected, but then I had to tip. And then she was trying to sell me product, which at that point I'm like, no, I'm not buying any product. I was in shell shock. And um, and yes, I am going back to her. But do you what would your reaction been?
I have no problem having that visible on my face. What? It's what? Come on, we got to negotiate that down. I'm not paying that.
Are you a negotiator?
No, I'm not. I'm terrible. I will say that, but I'm terrible at negotiating. I remember when I went on a business trip with my husband, and we went to China, and we went to this mall, and we'd been told in advance, like, you have to barter, like they are expecting you to barter. And I was like, I can't barter, I can't do it. So like when they were like, it's this much money, I'm like, okay, that's good. They're like looking at me like, no, 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 no. It's like I can't do
Oh,
it.
this lady.
So, anyways, do you wear it like, would you have said something? Would you have, or do you just squash it or what?
I would have probably shown my disbelief in the price. I'm
Well, she picked
very,
it up in my delay.
yeah, I'm very like, it's like, sort of like, it's just, everything's on the sleeve. It's like, this is my reaction will be my reaction. So I probably would have like gone, what? That's not what I was expecting. I would have paid it anyways. But then I would have made a mental note that this is really, I should have checked this out before I walked into the store to say, I'm going to come in for a haircut. I want to know how much it costs. What is it you're going to do? Which
Probably should have had a
now that
voice.
this has happened, I'm actually going to do this when I finally get my haircut.
Right. And I did, and here's the other thing. I didn't voice mine. Wait a minute, that's not what was on your website.
Right.
Because I did check it. So there's two things here.
Yeah.
It was the shock of what the price was, because it was like $40 more
Ooh,
than
yeah,
what it
that's
was.
that's that's a lot.
Right.
And it's
And
not your fault they haven't updated the website.
well, here's the thing. I found she has two websites out there because I went out on, I don't know in Canada if you have, which you probably do, Yelp.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So I went on Yelp, put in my requirements, and her website came up. So that's where I went out and looked because that's where you can make your appointment and everything. So that's what I did. And so I should have said something. I am not good at that all the time. I am good at voicing my opinion on when I feel like I'm being bamboozled, like a salesperson standing like in front of me or on the phone. I can shut you down like that. But I didn't say anything. And then when I came home and I went out and looked again, I found her true
Hmm.
website, not the one connected to Yelp. And that had the price that she gave me.
I mean, I think it would have been a valid thing to have said, hey, this isn't, I mean, nicely, but
Yeah.
to say, hey, this wasn't, I checked your website out, and this wasn't the price that it showed.
Right.
If for no other reason for her to know that she's got to shut some other website down or get
Right.
it reconnected with Yelp
And
to
now that we're having
get
this
one, or
conversation, I haven't even reached out to her to tell her she has two websites out there. I
yeah,
forgot too. I
but
have
yeah,
to do that.
if I'm really shocked about something, then it's really very hard for me to just keep the face straight. And
So what if she said, that's your price? Would you still paid it?
oh yeah, I mean, because at that point, I really do believe I could have probably done more due diligence.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I should have called. That's
True.
what, I should have called, asked, then I'm walking in and I know it's going to cost me this much
Yeah.
money, instead of walking in and having someone hand you a bill and you're like, what?
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting this, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And
So
it's interesting how we do that in certain circumstances, right? Like,
Mhm.
depending on what the scenario is, we'll get a
Yeah.
quote from somebody.
Yeah.
Other situations we don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Tracy G, what would you have done?
I tend to be okay. Well, but because you had gone to the website, I would have done it in a kind of like, oh, I guess I'm mistaken. I thought I saw this on the, like, I would have put it on me. I don't know why.
Right.
Probably because it's money. And I would have probably made a very, oh, I must have looked at the wrong thing type comment. But if I hadn't looked at the website, I would have just tried to go, oh yeah, I'm just rolling with it. That's the price. Of course that's the price.
Kind of
Five
roll
hundred
with it
dollars for
afterwards,
streaks?
like,
Of course.
like, oh, you know, I
Yeah.
was like, okay.
But I
And the,
also, when we go out a lot, my husband, he has no problem calling any of that out, right? So I'm kind of used to that, which is a good thing for me. I should be voicing my own opinion. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm very uncomfortable with that. Very uncomfortable.
that's funny because I do check websites all the time. I think this is the first time though, I looked at something on Yelp and the websites didn't match,
Mm. That's a good point. Like, I mean, you
you know?
think what you're looking at, which is why
Yeah,
I think I would have said, that's not what I saw on your website. Like, that's,
right.
I saw
But
this
then
much
if I
money for
just,
your.
but if I put it in, I would have said, that's not what I saw. That's not the website I saw. And she could have said, I just updated my website, which is true. She
Mhm.
could have updated it 2 days before because I made the appointment a month before and I didn't relook when I left.
To me,
So,
it's a perfect opportunity to say, hey, this isn't what I expected, right? You're being nice. It's not like you're like,
right,
this isn't what I expected. I'm not paying
Yeah.
this. It's like, this isn't kind of what I expected. And now for them to decide if they want to offer an olive branch or not.
Yeah,
right,
because I would have thought, had that been said, the business owner would have gone, oh my goodness, you know what? Of course I'm going to honor those prices and thank you for letting me know, because now I'm going to go
right,
make sure that that's dealt with,
right.
right?
Yeah.
True.
That's what I would have expected though.
Yeah.
Right,
That's what I would have expected too, for her to say, oh, what website were you looking at? Like, I
right.
don't know where you were. This is the price. Um, and then, hopefully say, yeah, I'll honor that price that you
Yes.
thought you were being charged.
Okay,
So let me ask you
see-
this then. Let me ask you this. This is good. Do you send meals back if you don't like them?
it's just gonna get into the restaurant business too.
Yes,
Do you?
yes, yes. And that took me a while to do.
Yeah.
That did. Pete will do it like that, like that. I have to be a little bit more like, like, how bad is it? And it has to be what type of restaurant am I in? If I'm at a fast food place, no. But if I'm at fine dining and it's not meeting my expectations, like especially steakhouse, because I do not like tough meat. I'm sorry, I'm a very rare girl. It has to be rare. It's the way I like it. And if they overdo it and I'm paying big bucks or Pete's paying big bucks, nope, it will go back. It will go back.
What about you,
Yes.
Tracy?
I will, but it's not, it's gotta be like, it's gotta be a pretty valid reason for it to go back. Like, I'm not gonna be a picky one where it's like, oh, it's, the garnish is different or something. It's
Yeah.
got, and the same, I've done it with certain drinks where there's like these,
Yeah.
fused blah, blah, blah stuff. And I
Yeah.
go, this is not what is being described here.
Yeah.
So, but rarely, it's not my way. Like,
Yeah.
What about you, Tracy? You would, right? You said you would, right?
Again, so it has to be it's funny because something has to be really wrong with the meal.
Yeah.
Like if it's something that if I've ordered it and I just don't like it, it's like, I'm not sending this back. This is like, there's got to be something wrong with the meal,
Absolutely.
Right.
Like I remember I was at one restaurant and I ordered fish and the middle of it wasn't even cooked.
Yeah.
That I sent back. I was like, I'm
Right.
sorry, I just can't eat this.
Right.
And it wasn't like tuna or salmon that you could like eat it that way.
Right.
Okay, so but you would never send something back because it didn't, because you didn't like it.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, if I've
Yeah.
ordered something, like, okay, interesting. I was at a restaurant and I ordered a meal. It was tuna. The way the description of the meal read, this was going to be like a warm meal that was going to be served. And it was cold. And it was only because my daughter ordered exactly the same thing. And I took a bite of it and I was literally shocked that it was cold. And I thought, oh, I don't think this is right. They've probably done something wrong here. And then Meg's had, tried it and she was like, Mom, mine's cold. I was like, yeah, mine is too. I think this is the way it's supposed to be. So we didn't send it back. We ate. Yeah.
What about you, Michelle?
No. No, I probably wouldn't send it back, but like we were out a couple of weeks ago and he ordered something. He ordered fajitas and they came and he's like, Michelle, these are awful. And it wasn't they were awful. They didn't cut the meat in thin enough strips. So it was like you were taking strips this big of a steak and trying to roll it and
Yeah.
he just ate what he could and he just put his napkin on top. And the bartender came over and said, what's wrong with the meal? Pete says, it tastes good, but you don't know how to cut your meat. I can't eat it. And he lifted up and the bartender said, you're right, and took it away. And the manager came over and said, I'm sorry about that. You're right. You were like, it wasn't, this is the way we cut our meat. It was, you're right. That meat was not cut properly for you to put it into a tortilla, wrap it, and eat it. It was like you had a slice of a huge slice of steak. And they did take our meal off, that meal off of the bill. Pete did eat half of it, but he didn't eat half of it.
Right.
And so I think I wouldn't send it back unless I had had it before and I knew what they done tasted bad and I just couldn't eat it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if it's
But if
something
it was
brand new, it's hard
right,
to
if it's
sit.
something
It's
Yeah.
like,
new, then I
okay,
just no, I'll just and I've said, it's fine. It's just not to my liking. And
yeah.
sometimes I've gotten 50% off or whatever, but I've never no.
Yeah, if it doesn't meet the expectation in that I thought it was going to taste like this, but it doesn't quite taste like that, I'm not going to send it back for
Yeah,
something like that.
either
Like I
am
said,
I.
it's
Or
got to be
it's
something really wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
cold instead of hot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and actually when the waitress came back, I said to her, does this meal get served cold like this all the time? She said, oh yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. I was like, okay. I said, I
Does
was
anyone ever make
anticipating
no,
hot.
does anyone ever make a comment about it?
It was so funny. I was like, I was just, and it's such a shock when you're expecting one thing and something else. It's
Yeah,
like, whoa.
yeah, yeah. Like the other day I had we all went out for lunch and I had a Cobb salad with grilled chicken. So it said grilled chicken. Would you think the chicken be warm or cold?
I would expect it to be warm.
I would expect it to be warm as well.
No, it was cold. They grilled it, chopped it, and put it in the fridge.
Mm,
You were getting grilled chicken on
mm.
there.
Okay.
So I knew, now I know when I go to that restaurant,
Yeah.
I'll just say, by the way, I want my grilled chicken warm. Oh, okay. But that's the way they serve it.
Yeah. But I mean,
Other
it
than,
speaks to the customer service skills of the restaurant, the previous restaurant
yeah,
with the fajita, that they would,
yeah,
say, hey, listen, and take the time to care enough about you that they would then take the meal off and have a conversation with you as
Yeah.
well. Like,
yeah,
I mean, there's so many times where people just go, oh, well, too bad.
right.
And like
And
she said, they weren't trying to defend the way they cut their
mhm,
meat. They were like, oh
mhm,
no,
No,
yeah, you're right.
no, that
yeah,
is,
yeah,
and they could say that's the way we do it. Okay. You
yeah.
know, that's the way they do. People know not to order that again. So, but it's not, but it's just, and I think it's funny because I said to you guys beforehand, I was shocked. I didn't say anything. I didn't want her to feel bad. I didn't want to make a scene, all of this stuff. But I remember walking into a car dealership with my ex-husband, sitting down with somebody, and the guy asking me niceties about a car, and turning to my ex-husband saying, now I'll talk to the man that controls the checkbook to see what he wants. And my ex looked at him and said, oh, you're in trouble. And I just went off on him because I was the one buying the car. Like, so, like, I have a voice. Like, I mean, I went off on this guy. And my ex husband looked at him like, yeah, you just lost the deal. I strongly advise you to never do that to a woman again. Like, holy crap. Or I've walked into a furniture store and been bombarded by somebody who wants to make me a sale. And I put my hand up and say, no, step back. When I'm ready, I have a question. I promise I'll come find you
Yeah.
because you approached me first. And
Mhm.
I've always honored that. But she just caught me so off guard. I was like, uh, sure, here's my debit card, you know? So I was wondering, what would you do in that instance? You know?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I always, when somebody approaches me in a store or whatever, and they say, "Can I help you?" I always just say, "Not right at the moment, thank you."
Yeah. And
Like, I'll leave that
And
open,
then they
but
follow you.
yeah, and then they follow you, Tracy, and
I've never been
stop.
followed.
You
I've never
stop
been
at a
followed.
couch, and they're like, "Well, that one's on sale." Did I ask you if it was on sale? No, I don't. And I think that, and it's funny because I was a director of a sales department
Mm.
for the last company I worked for, or for um my career. But I never approached it as oh, I have this sales goal to make. My approach was always, how can I service this client I'm talking to today?
Mm.
So when I see that I have a quota to make, coming at me, oh, you're going to get chewed up. I don't care you have a quota. I'm not your meal ticket. But if you want to service me and give me customer service like that restaurant did,
Mhm.
okay.
Nothing like good old customer service. You gotta love
Not
it.
like it.
Yeah.
So, viewer, what would you have done? Would you have voiced your opinion? Or would you have just handed over the payment as I did? But yes, I will go back to her because she is a very good hairdresser. Comment below. We would love to see what you have to say. And don't forget, share this with somebody. Have a glass of wine with somebody. Have a conversation. Discuss what would you have done. Make sure you like this episode and hit that notification so you are notified when our next episode comes out. By the way, it's every Wednesday.
Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you as a regular member of our community.